Hey everybody, John Bishop here with Art Chat, the podcast. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while since you've seen me or heard me, and I guess I do apologize a lot for that. It's been a real tumultuous time for us, and that's one of the things I wanted to share with you today. First of all, if you don't know who I am, my name is John Bishop. As I say, I work for a art business called Bubarusa Productions, and with my partner Bogdan. Bogdan has also a company he calls Bogdan Photo Art, and I have one called John Bishop Fine Art. And then together we also have a company in Romania with the same name, Bubarusa Productions. And so what we do is we have our own art businesses where we create paintings and fine art photography and some illustration. And then we have this company together, Bubarusa, which is basically the parent company that we create video content, video production, as well as photography, both fine art photography, but also commercial photography. And so that's kind of who we are and what we're doing. And the whole idea of creating this podcast, and we also have some other formats that we're some other content that we're producing, is to do a couple of things. And one is to present ourselves and our art business so that people can get to know us in this kind of global market, that we're able to present ourselves in a way we've never been able to do in history before. And so that gives us a chance to not only do our work and present and market our art and our professional services, but also to give some people, some insight into who we are as people as well, with the idea that further kind of markets who we are and what we're doing. So that's the whole purpose behind these things. But it's kind of gotten a little complicated. Beginning this year, we started a new nonprofit called Aripa Arte, and Aripa is a company that is a 501c3, though our status is still pending with the IRS. That was created to help support Romanian artists, both in the country and outside of Romania. Because what we realized was, when we were talking to Romanian artists, that there really is a very hard road for them to get their artwork out into the world. Romania is somewhat remote, very much an economy of a much smaller scale, and artists have a really, really hard time making it to those centers where art sells. And so those Romanians who have been successful have been able to take their artwork to Europe and market it there, as well as some to the States, but more so to the European Union. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of avenues for getting Romanian artists to the United States, where the market is bigger. So the idea was that as we kind of find our way, that maybe, because Bogdan is from Romania and there will be a time when his mother needs our support, that maybe we kind of set up shop in Romania as well as in the United States. And Aripa Arte is a company that we can work to bridge those two things. So the people and the contacts we have here in the United States, we could then go to Romania and help those artists connect to markets outside Romania, specifically in the United States. And so that's what we've done. We've created this nonprofit organization, and that's taking up, obviously, a lot of time. And it's really kind of confused me in all the content that we're creating. What part of that is me and my art business and trying to promote John Bishop Fine Art and my painting and illustration, and how much of it is Bubarusa Productions, both in the United States and in Romania. And now this new thing, Aripa Arte. Because let's face it, there are going to be people who are interested in Aripa Arte, Romanian artists, and artistic kind of organizations and institutions in Romania who may not care a thing about me and my art business. And so we've combined all these things together, and it's kind of gotten confusing for me. We have this podcast. We produce a video version of this podcast, so those two things. I have a blog, which was originally talking about me and kind of art business in general, the things that I'm learning. Bubarusa Productions pretty much had Art Life with John and Bogdan, and that is a way to promote our art business and the kind of category of the business of art and ourselves as individuals, but not really selling anything. And then we have a weekly live broadcast called Art Chat with John and Bogdan. And that is a way for us to specifically kind of market, trying to sell our art, present and sell our art, kind of a live auction kind of presentation. So we have all of those things, and I've gotten confused as to how I can distinguish between them and who my audience is for each of those different things. And so what that ultimately meant was I stopped doing most all of them because I was confused, and also just the advanced workload that Aripa has brought. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. Now, Aripa is, as I say, we started this at the beginning of the year, and I prepared all of the paperwork to present to the IRS to get that tax-free status, that 501c3 tax-free status, so that people who give to the organization they can get a break on their taxes. And so that whole process, it took me about a month to get that together. I submitted it. And after a couple of months, I got a letter back from the IRS saying, we need some more information. So I provided them with more information. And then about 4 months in, I got a letter back saying, yeah, this all looks great, but you used the wrong form. Do it again. So I looked at the fact that I was already 4 months into this year and said, you know what? I need some help. So I hired an attorney who specifically works with nonprofits. And I'm going to apologize. The cat is going mental, so she'll probably be here in a second. And so I hired this attorney to help prepare, there she is, to help me prepare the paperwork for the new nonprofit. And he did that. And in so doing, he established that there were some kind of real changes that had to be made structurally to the way we were presenting the nonprofit to the IRS. And so we had to make those changes, which included also taking me off the board, making me the executive director, bringing on another board member so that Bogdan and I didn't kind of weigh the other board members. There was only 3 people on the board, 2 were married. That's a problem. So we got all that straightened out, got all the paperwork turned in, and now we're waiting again. So here we are now in September. So we're 9 months into the year out of 12 months, and we still don't have a nonprofit status. So yeah, that has been a real setback for us, and that has been a problem. In addition to that, we have been trying to establish ourselves in Romania. So we took a trip to Romania. Let's see, when did we go? We went last summer, and really tried to get an idea of, can we do this thing we want to do in Romania? And that all seemed really good, and we were just getting established at the time. And so we now have gone again this summer. We just got back 3 weeks ago, where we spent another 3 weeks in Romania. And this time we really had our Aripa Arte hats on. We were trying to meet with artists And we did meet with several artists. We met with a couple of gallerists, because what we really wanted to do is we wanted to start to meet people to really test all of the things that we've kind of organized for Aripa, to see if actually they are of interest and of value to Romanian artists and art organizations. And the response we got was very, very positive. In fact, to a person, the response we got was, they were a little suspect at first. They wanted to know what was our ask. And once we presented our proposal to them, people seemed to be very, very supportive and interested in working with us. So that's where that went. We spent quite a bit of time passing out brochures, meeting people, getting addresses and Instagram accounts that we could follow. And so I think that was a very, very successful trip. So we're still waiting for that 501c3 status. But what we will be able to do once that occurs is we'll be able to really start fundraising in earnest, and we will be able to have the stories of some of the people we're working with. And that's always hard when you're starting out fresh, because people don't know who you are, and they don't really, you're not tested, right? And so they want to know, you don't have any track record to say the people, the impact that you've had. But this will allow us to actually put names and faces to people that we are going to be working with. And that, I think, will help us as we get that organized and as we start that nonprofit fundraising. So it was a really, really good trip, and I'm really, really glad that we went. And I really feel very positive about where we are in the planning and in the future of Aripa Arte. But it is important to me that I start to kind of separate off. Aripa Arte needs to have its own social media, its own outreach and programming and content. And so I am not quite sure what to do yet, whether I just try and create a separate podcast for Aripa, a separate vlog for Aripa, a second blog, which I've already created for Aripa, and how much work can I do? I mean, already we're doing a blog and a podcast and a video podcast and a vlog and a live show, in addition to all the kind of social media that I have to keep up with, Instagram and Twitter, though it's not called Twitter anymore, and Pinterest and Facebook, and all of that stuff I have to do. Am I going to have to do all of that again for Aripa? Do I have the time for that? And oh, by the way, I try to run an art business through all of this. So I am trying to create my own art career and keep that going. So it's been a real, in Spanish you say come coco. It's a head-eating experiment, a brain scramble for me. So yeah, we'll see where that goes, but that is where I have been. It's not like I've been goofing off. I've been incredibly busy and trying to figure out who is my audience, who's watching, who's listening, and where to go with that. What I have noticed with the podcast is that it does seem to reach an entirely different audience than the video content. And that's very encouraging, because one of the, I think, benefits of doing a podcast is that there is a much smaller kind of group of listeners, of people who are consuming that kind of content. And so you have a chance to stand out more in that smaller fishbowl than you do in a thing like YouTube that has so many people involved. So I do think the podcast is something worth doing. I love podcasts. I listen to podcasts almost daily, if not daily. And I think it's important because I listen to them differently. I consume that material very differently than I do other social media and content. So yeah, I will definitely continue with that and probably try and turn that into something with Aripa as well. So more on that in the future. As far as my art business goes, that has been progressing, though I swear to you I've done very little over the summer because of all this travel and putting my head in so many places. We did have a big show, excuse me, called Urbanesque that Bogdan and I did together. It was our first kind of joint show. We did that in the spring, and that was successful. It wasn't a huge show, but it was something that had quite a bit of content, and it was a good, we made some money. In addition to that, we also have these opportunities through our studio. We're at Silver Street Studios, which is part of the Sawyer Yards compound in Houston. And so in our building, we're allowed to do tenant shows, and I'm on the committee for that. And we have 4 or 5 shows a year. We're just finishing up one now called Technological Reverie. So that's been really nice. I've also been able to participate in another show from the Spring Street Studios, which is another of the buildings at Sawyer Yard. And so that show will be ending in October. Technological Reverie ends this next week. And now we're putting together another show for November. But in addition to that, we're given an opportunity to have our own solo shows. And I will have my show in mid-October to mid-November till Thanksgiving at Silver Street Studios. And so I'm frantically trying to plan and paint and prepare an entire collection for that show. It's called Earthen. I was in a show last year, the Tenant, which was a show of 10 tenants from Silver Street, organized by Valentina Atkinson at Serrano Gallery. And in that show, I did 2 pieces I did 4 pieces for this Earthen series that I'm working on. And they were very, very lovely. I really liked them. 2 of them sold immediately. I still have 2 of the others. And I really wanted to use them as the kind of inspiration to create this other series, to further the series called Earthen. So the whole idea is to explore earth tones, textures, colors of the earth. And that, not sure exactly where that's going to go. Most of it is going to be abstract and non-representational. So more of just kind of an experiment of what earth feels like, and you won't be able to smell it, but to get those kind of sensations that I enjoy so much in abstract non-representational art. And then I'll probably do some landscape. I did a landscape several years ago that I really, really enjoyed, and I'll probably do that as well. So that's what I'll be working on frantically for the next few weeks. But I wanted to get some of this content out before I close the door on that. So that's kind of where I've been. We've been working really, really hard. I have committed to continuing to produce this kind of content and look forward to the opportunity to do so, wherever that may take us. So keep your eyes open for wherever we may go with the Aripa Arte and how we're going to section that off, though I will obviously still talk about it in the personal stuff. So anyway, hope you're having a wonderful week. Stay creative, and I'm going to leave you here. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.